Welcome to the dOrg Hot Seat. Today we have Michele D'Aliessi from Superfluid, a money streaming protocol. Blockchains have enabled us to create new types of assets, and with them, new forms of interacting with them. Questioning why recurring payments are a thing and whether we can do something better is exactly what Superfluid does. Imagine subscriptions or salaries or any money transactions that happen over a period of time but happen in chunks. They all have the potential to be streamed. This conversation gets very interesting, and in the hot seat there are going to be questions touching EIP standards, the overhead of natively streamable tokens, and also how often teams focusing on developing a protocol find themselves at a crossroads. They have to decide whether to continue improving their protocol or dedicating development power to integrating with customers to increase adoption. No spoilers, let's go ahead and stream Superfluid.
All right, so what is Superfluid? Superfluid is effectively a new financial primitive that allows you to stream money in a capital efficient, fully programmable way that doesn't require gas to transfer value on chain and doesn't require to lock up capital. So to give you some background on why we think this is super valuable, we think that kind of digital money is broken because what we did was porting an outdated financial system to a digital internet native economy that we live today. To give you a glimpse of what that means is if you think about a sort of software subscription service or something like that, that you sign up today and then maybe you stop using in a year time, say Netflix, for example. Normally what happens is over a year, you signed up today, you're going to stop in a year time, but then for some reason, we have to make 12 different payments that are taken from your credit card really without your consent in a way, because they could actually take whatever amount of money they want. And then it's kind of down to you to challenge that. So it's kind of a pool payment that take them away from you. So this is somewhat inefficient for many reasons. And especially for example, if some of these payments actually doesn't go through, this kicks off a very expensive process for recovering the funds from the user. And sometimes, we get an email, they tell you to update the credit card details and stuff like that. And then soon after the payment is processed and nothing really happens. But there is so many times, actually about 20% of times, where the unpayment generates a drop of the user from the service. So maybe you are lazy, you don't want to update your card, or maybe you realize that it's not so needed as you thought it was. But basically you decide to stop the subscription, right? And for the company means that they lose a customer. So if you look at the data, 11% of failed payments turn into churn, so the user is abandoned, and about 10-15% of failed payments actually are never recovered. So they turn into what's so-called bad debt. So that is the SaaS industry, the software as a service industry, or the kind of subscription economy. It's just not subscriptions, but we have seen that this is also true for a lot of recurring payments out there. So we think there is a better way. Services flow in real time from providers to client. And we think payments should work in the same way. So what's a better option? Ideally, you want to have an interaction where you start, an interaction where you stop, and you want to pair payments with interaction so you don't have to think about it normally. The reality is that if you pay everything up front, it's unfair to the user. And if you pay everything at the end, it's unfair to the recipient who is very exposed to the risk of never receiving the money. And that's why we have monthly subscriptions, because it's fairer for both sides. But is there a better way? We think it is. So if you were to start a payment the moment you start a subscription, and the payment could go through a fraction of a penny per cent to the supplier over time in a constant flow, then you would have an atomic swap of service for money. And this would be the single best way, because you can start the subscription while you start the payment, and then you stop the subscription when you stop the payment. This is also true for salaries, for freelance work, for bounties, for projects that are ongoing. And we call this money streaming. So effectively, what happens is you can transfer a fraction of a penny on chain every block with no gas in a seamless fashion. Why streaming? Well, because it's constant flow. So you can really see if it's happening, if it's not happening, if it's stopped or not. You don't have to lock up any capital up front. So it's fully liquid in a wallet available as soon as you receive it. And you can also forward it on. So it's interconnected. So you can receive 10,000 DAI per month, and you can decide to take 2,000 DAI and put that into DeFi, 3,000 DAI and put that into your savings ledger, and so on and so forth. There is also ongoing streams that don't need to have an end date. So you can have it ongoing for as long as you want to use a service, and then you stop it manually, or you can set an end date and have that stopped automatically. This doesn't burn any gas. So you only need to burn gas when you open, edit, or close a stream. And so while the stream is flowing, there is no gas consumption. And all of this is actually fully automated with token wrapping. So the only thing that you have to do to access this type of streaming capabilities is you need to wrap your token, which is an ERC20, into ERC20 compatible token wrapped, like similar to Aave DAI, to give you an idea, or wrapped Ether. And that's all you need to do to unlock all these extended features. So what's interesting for us is that once you imagine different players streaming to one another, this unlocks somewhat of an interconnected economy where value can flow in real time into your business and out of it, or it can come into your wallet as a salary and you can spend it into subscriptions in real time, or you can send it to an exchange and buy an asset over time in a dollar cost averaging strategy in DeFi. So you think, oh, wow, this is cool, but it's so futuristic, Mike. What the hell are you talking about? And the reality is that this is happening today. So what you're looking at now is this is Polygon network on USDC. This is only 100 wallets, and you can see how they are interconnected to one another and they're streaming to each other funds. You can see how much they're streaming here in this visualization. And this is mainnet. So this is Superfluid protocol on Polygon, just a small amount of wallets to show you what can be done. But then if you expand this visualization to 1,000 wallets, it really becomes an interconnected Web3 economy where you suddenly can do recurring payments in a push fashion. So here, you don't get money taken from your account like your credit card, but you actually can send money out in a push fashion, which is a lot more secure. There's no fraud that can happen because everything is in the user's control. Nobody can take money away from you without you signing the transaction first. So to dive a little bit more on the technical side, since this is more for developers, you have to think about Superfluid as a stack where we have a Web3 dashboard for users to control all their streams. JavaScript SDK that any Web2 developer can use to integrate with Web3 capabilities of the protocol, and also a smart contract framework where, if you are a Web3 dev and you want to build whatever you want to kind of imagine with Web3, you can do that directly with the Solidity smart contracts on all EVM compatible networks. So this is about it. It's very programmable. So you can build all your custom logic. You can think of it as a fully open source Ethereum-like version for money streaming. So that is, fully open. Anyone can permissionlessly use it for building any application on top that they can dream of, from DeFi to, Web3 Stripe to Patreon for Web3 or anything that you can really think of. And also, we have super apps that allow a broad range of options, including callbacks, so that you can react to streams being created or updated or terminated. So yeah, if you're interested, just head to docs.superfluid.finance, and there you'll find very 101 documentation to get you started. And yeah, salary streaming is one of the major use cases where, say that you have 80K DAI into a Gnosis safe, and you just convert or you wrap 20K of that into the Superfluid wrap tokens. We call them super tokens. So DAIX is the version of super tokens. And from there, you can stream to anybody, any amount that you wish, even more than you have, because we don't need to lock all the money up front to start the stream. You just need to top it up for just the next day. So, we can stream, say, 1,000 DAI per month, even if we have only 20,000, and the streams will automatically stop if you run out of funds. And so you have to top up every now and then. So everyone that is getting in Salary Stream or is paying Salary Stream, they feel there is a lot less effort because they don't have to sign transactions every month to pay team members. They have a lot less overhead for this reason. And also there is a lot less complexity because you can just set it once and then you forget about it and it runs in and on itself. You can do a lot of fun things, including like streaming to an exchange, and then the exchange streams back to you another asset. So in this case, we're buying Ether with an exchange called Ricochet Exchange, which is live on Polygon. And so, yeah, there's a lot we can do beyond salaries. There is a lot of use cases. But I don't want to take away any more time. I just want to dive straight into the Q&A But before doing that, it probably is worth to give you a quick glimpse of what this can do. So what you're looking at now, this is our dashboard V2. It's going to go live in a few weeks. And if you want, you can get early access to it. But basically, you can look at any ENS wallet. You can connect your wallet and you can start a stream from there. And you can see all the super tokens, all the streams that are ongoing of the different tokens you have in your wallet. And you can stop streams, you can pay salaries from here. And it's more like a comprehensive aggregator for all the activity that you have ongoing on Superfluid. So, it's as simple as connecting your wallet and sending a stream. Yeah, for those of you that are devs, that we do have dark mode, so we're not gonna shout white light to your eyes. So yeah, if you have any questions, I'm here to answer them.
I can go first. I think that's awesome. And good question. If I understood correctly, you only have one JavaScript SDK, right? Like you are not currently like, you don't have an SDK in other language.
Yeah, so I mean, depending on what you want to do, we have an SDK, what we are calling SDK core, which is in JavaScript and allows a bunch of functionalities that are, basic. If you want to go wild with it, you can use directly the smart contracts, and there you can have as much fun as you want. We do have though SDK Redux, which if you want to build a front end, could be quite interesting.
Cool, cool. Yeah, just to make sure I understood things well. For example, if I want to use Superfluid and create, like a pipeline of a payment, do I need to interact like with an existing contract, or do I need to deploy a new one?
Right. So we already have the contracts deployed on most TVM networks. At the moment, it's like Polygon, Arbitrum Optimism, Gnosis Chain, and Binance Smart Chain and Avalanche. You will have just to call a function and call an existing smart contract. However, if you want to wrap tokens that have not been deployed in terms of wrappers yet, you will need to deploy your own wrapper for this new ERC20 you want to stream, because you will need to wrap it first. So that's the only case where you need to deploy a new wrapper contract, but otherwise you just need to call a function in one of the contracts that are existing.
Cool, cool. And for example, if someone creates Superfluid, let's say that's a name, and I get paid monthly, I don't know, 100 days. I can like retire the money anytime, right? So basically, if I want to like take my payment, I would need to call a function in the contract that would transfer the tokens to me, right?
Nope. Nope.
Okay.
So the beauty about it is that, let's say that you have 1,000 DAI in your wallet, right? So if someone wants to send you a stream, they will stream to you DAI-X, which is the wrapped token. What's cool is that this wrapped token comes straight into your wallet with no withdrawal. So you would actually see every block, you will see your MetaMask balance to change without calling any function. So this is continue to come into your wallet as DAI-X. So what you can do is you can take that DAI-X and forward it to anyone in a stream. Or if you want to turn that into DAI, like you do with Aave, you will need to unwrap it from DAI-X to DAI.
Okay.
However, we have a range of applications that are now accepting directly DAI-X. So, you can use DAI-X already without the wrapping and unwrap of it. So that means that your balance is directly in your wallet with no withdrawal when it comes to DAI-X.
Wow. Okay. So I guess the magic happens in this like wrapper of X, right? Like in the
Yeah. So So the new is a new token standard, effectively, right? That adds the streaming capability, where we define the balance of function in a new way that allows us to stream over time using blocks. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Nice. Okay, interesting. Thank you for answering that. Now it's clear to me.
Yeah, I mean, Surfard, I don't know if I can post a link anywhere here on your Discord, guys, but more than happy to tell you about super tokens and how they work. I'm sure that you can have a lot of fun looking at our token standard.
Yeah, I was going to ask that. Do you have a standard like an EARC or something like that for these tokens or
We didn't make an EIP yet, just because we wanted to perfect it a little bit and get community feedback. But it will eventually be an EIP down the line if we are comfortable with the state of the art of the implementation.
would be awesome if you can send that. Clara, can you help us here to see which ad?
Sure, I'll give you like the channel on the DM, so you can post anything you want about like Superfluid on our Discord channel for sure.
Any other questions, guys? We love builders, and I mean, I've been following dOrg for quite a long time, and you guys are building awesome stuff. So if anyone wants to play with money streaming, we're more than happy to help.
Just curious, do you know by any chance how big is the standard, additional code you would need to add to your token in bytes?
That's a very good question, and I'll need to double check. But it's not much. You mean if you were to deploy a wrapper, how big is the wrapper contract, or how much gas?
Yeah, since it'd be nice if all tokens had this, but if, for example, you were creating your own token, you might look into Superfluid just to be able to support streams. But if it's too large to add and not still make the contract limit, then you might be less inclined to use it. But if it's something small, then you could add it as a default.
Yeah. So anyone is happy to just make a token wrapper eventually. So you can have your ERC20 standard for anything that is, and then you can have a wrapper and just use the wrap version whenever you need to. It is a fat token standard, effectively, right? It's not super lean because we are adding features, and we need to make it safe as well because we are touching the balance itself. It's not we had to go through quite a few audits to make sure it's standard and robust. But something that developers are doing is some projects are deciding to launch directly with the Superfluid native token. So they don't make an ERC20. They just come to the protocol and they issue the token directly through the token standard we created. So that basically the token that ends up being into DeFi application is already the wrap version. And so it already has all the capabilities, right? And so there is no need to unwrap it or wrap it. It works across the board directly.
That would be like a native token for Superfluid, right?
Yeah, I mean, we have three. One is called Ricochet. I'll post the link. I think Ori invited me to post some links on the Shield Zone. So I'll post it there. But basically, we have somebody has built a DCA Ricochet, a DCA exchange on Superfluid. And when they launched, they decided to do a fundraising via token sale. And so their token is a fully native super token, which means that it doesn't have an ERC20 equivalent for unwrapping. Also, a wallet called Minerva, or Miva in short, they decided to also do the same with a super token so that all their tokens are immediately compatible with streaming. We're seeing a lot more, honestly, to see, but the cross-chain need sometimes requires an ERC20 on ETH mainnet just to have that counterparty so that you can always go back to that mainnet ERC20 if you wanted to. Cool. Is anyone building any payroll or like salary streaming or subscription streaming or recurring payments or invoicing?
Yeah, we are. I'm
Cool.
managing this internal project called DAOification, where we have payroll and all of that. And I actually was digging into the Superfluid standards more than a year ago, back when you guys were in the ETH Global Hackathon in last year. It seems like you changed quite a few things, because back then you were using you didn't have this different ERC standard where you just call the balance of there were transactions, if I remember correctly, and you were bundling together all of basically the people who registered to have the streaming payments. So this is much more interesting right now, what you're describing, and the fact that you can still do other things with it. I mean, it's very different from just locking the money, like you said. It's different.
Yeah, I mean, of course, the protocol has evolved massively. We were 5 people a year ago. Now we're 24. So a lot has happened in the meantime. I don't know if you can see the Shield Zone. I don't think I can tag you there.
we can
But
see it.
Okay. So Andre, I just posted an article there called Automated Money Streams, where basically we created a fully automation system that allows you to start and stop streams in the future date, delegating with your own wallet to a contract. So basically, if you're building, say, a payroll system, you can have users to open 15 streams at the same time with one transaction, and also wrap the tokens needed to open these streams in the same transaction with a Nosy Safe, for example. And then you can also say that 2 of these streams will start immediately, but then the other will start at different dates in the future. And most of them can stop on a different date as well. So that is also very powerful because the more automation, the less signatures, the less headache for those managing payroll or any type of application. So please do see Superfluid as backend infrastructure. We will never be building our own service. It's more just a kind of a platform for others to build services on top of. So that's kind of our focus. We are trying to make it easier and easier to build with this kind of real-time streams. And if you look at similar products like Sablier or Llama Pay or others, they either require you to lock all the capital up front and then to have to withdraw it. So for example, you cannot chain streams. So if I stream to you, you can't forward that on to someone else or an app. You have to first withdraw and then send the funds over. But also they are very much vertical. Like they're trying to build around specific use cases, and they are not a sort of backend infrastructure that is composable and modular for a large variety of use cases. So, that's what we're focused on. We're trying to service the crypto community from Ethereum-like Web3 infrastructure play.
Yeah, that's super cool. I was wondering if there are like more services of this type deployed on the same network. Like if you have, I don't know, a few on Polygon, let's say, and the person has, multiple subscriptions. Is there a situation where this can become a conflict? Like, what happens basically when you have multiple streams drawing out of the same wallet? Is it ever a conflict? And what happens if you just have insufficient funds? I guess the
Right.
service cuts out whatever that was, right?
Yeah. So, there is an unlimited amount of streams you can have. So, if you have different providers that have, for example, payroll solutions, and you stream with all of them at the same time, there is no conflicts. They are just super apps. Basically, you're just interacting with different smart contracts. It doesn't there's no scalability at front. And also, yes, if you're streaming a specific token and that balance of a specific token goes to zero, we have a distributed liquidation system that monitors all the account balances of those that are streaming. And when you hit zero, effectively, they can close the stream for you. And we have a reward system that incentivizes these people to liquidate streams that are near insolvent. There is a small fee when you open a stream. We ask you to lock 4 hours worth of the stream value. And those 4 hours can be given as a reward to the people that could close your stream in case you approach zero balance. So basically, that's the only fee per se that doesn't go to the protocol, but goes to third parties that can maintain it solvent at all times.
That's such a cool architecture that you guys came up with.
Yeah, we call them sentinels, and we have amazing people running them, and we were surprised to see that even people like ETH Global decided to go ahead and run their own. So you can find all about that on the docs link. By the way, this is very geeky. I don't know if you guys want to hear this, but we have made a system that basically allows everybody to close streams once you approach insolvency. But then you can stake an amount of tokens to become a bit of a centralized validator, and you can win that position. And then you can basically have a smaller window of 15 minutes where you have some precedence because you stake funds that can be used as an insurance pool. And then you can gain more of these fees. So there is a very good gamification system in there. We call that patricians and plebes, just because the patricians are the ones that have the preference, and the plebes are all the ones that are just normal people like me and you. That didn't stake against a specific currency, but it's a very cool system because it's very fair, I think, and also very powerful, because then we have someone who does it as their job in a way to keep the project solvent. But yeah, please check it out. We love feedback on that because it's fairly new and is probably not perfect. So we want to improve it over time.
By the way, yeah, quick question. Have you been audited like the smart contracts?
Oh, yeah. So we had an audit initially. We were not very happy with. So we had 3 audits, and now we got 4 audits on the main contracts, and we are using different auditors for new contracts we are creating. So all the audits are available on our monorepo. So if you go to our docs and follow the GitHub link,
protocol monorepo, it's called.
there you go. And if you go to audits, then you have the PDFs there.
Cool. Thank you.
So I also just wanted to add, we're looking for more protocols to partner with. So if you need like an integration team to work with projects that want to do custom use cases of Superfluid, yeah, we could talk more offline about setting up a dOrg team that's like specialized in Superfluid and that help grow the adoption in the ecosystem through that team building kind of custom apps through being specialists on the SDK and the contracts.
Right. So, well, I love this, honestly, because these are all applications that are either building with Superfluid or integrating us. So at the moment, for example, down here, we have Request Network and CoinShift. One is an invoicing tool that you probably heard of, and the other one is a payroll tool. And they are both integrating Superfluid, right? And we don't really have the resources to follow their integration, and maybe they don't even have the resources internally. So we would love to have a conversation about outsourcing an integration team to some decentralized organization like dOrg. So that would be absolutely something that we want to work with, or at least explore.
Awesome. Can definitely follow up about that.
Cool. Just curious here. Yeah, have you like started implementing your protocol in Cairo, for example, or yeah, another chain that's not EVM, basically?
Well, we have been exploring it. Honestly, I have to say that Solana was something that we were looking at just because of transaction volumes and interest in the payment and kind of gaming sector. But more than happy to try it out. We believe in a multi-chain future, and it doesn't have to be EVM necessarily. So if there is a developer or a team that wants to explore other chains that are not EVM compatible, we are definitely wanted to be involved, right? It is definitely in our roadmap. It wasn't just there in 2022, so it might be next year.
Glad to hear that.
Yeah, basically, because we want to be an open, transparent, fair, free, open source standard for real-time value transfer, so that we don't create siloed and proprietary solutions similar to an Apple style where you have a vertical stack and then there is no Linux version for that. So we want to be the Linux that powers real-time value transfer for Web3. And so yeah, it's very open. Our community is very supportive. The founders are working with the community directly, so it would be a pleasure to work with dOrg and anyone who wants to contribute.
Awesome. Thank you, Mike, for your time and for coming here at dOrg to present Superfluid. It was really cool to have you.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Mike.
Yeah, and thank you for your time, sir.